Hey, Black people, what's going on? I am about to start a conversation that's one that I think needs to be had, but it's probably one that's not going to make everybody happy. But as you know, I don't care. I'm not trying to make friends in the game. I'm trying to tell the truth. And um, and so yeah, let's get it started. Let's just jump in and talk about what needs to be talked about. Um, I was sitting here and on a Friday night, and I met with some students in the Black Business School, and we were kind of just talking about different topics. And one of the things that I saw earlier this afternoon that really got my attention had to do with a video that was done by Vicky Dillard. Vicky Dillard's with Fly Nubian Queen, and Vicky was talking about Oprah Winfrey, and I said, oh, okay, this is a Black woman talking about Oprah. You know what's going on? What happened? And I had already seen what Vicky was referring to, and I knew it already irked me, but I thought it was fascinating that other people are kind of chiming in the same way. Um, I don't know if any of you saw where Oprah was supporting us, for good reason. She was supporting Stacey Abrams for governor down in Georgia, and I assume she also supports Andrew Gillum, which is good. These are good people. These are people that are going to be great at um, they're going to be great at their jobs when they finally, get elected. If they get elected, I really hope they get elected. Um, but there was a problem. There's a problem with the way Oprah communicated her desire to get Black people to come out to vote. Um, Oprah used a lot of language that was very offensive, I think, to Black people. It was very condescending, just like Barack Obama had done this as well. It was very manipulative. There was a lot of slave talk. Even in the way she expressed herself, it just sounded like she was really sort of trying to play on the emotions of Black people, and I think that's a strategy that works, but I think it's a strategy that needs to be talked about, right? It's a strategy that needs to be called out when it happens by people that know better, people that are smart enough to kind of observe this behavior when they see it. Um, now, I want to make sure that we're clear. If you ask, do you support Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams? The answer is yes. Of course. I mean, why would you support the crusty old white man that's standing next to them? That doesn't that's a kind of a given. But I think that we, have to sort of talk about, what some members of the Black elite are doing kind of in their servitude of white America to manipulate Black people and deliver us to the polls. It's not a coincidence that right now, with the midterm elections coming, you have all the major so-called Black networks, which aren't really Black. Like BET is not really a Black network, but they market to Black people, but they're owned by other people. You see BET, Radio One, all these major networks sort of really pushing hard to get Black people to come to the polls. And it's not to the benefit of Black people. It's not because they care so much about the Black community, want to see Black people win. Because if you really want to see Black people win, there are a lot more radical things that could be done in addition to voting, right? It wouldn't just be like, okay, everybody vote and that's good. It would be, it would go deeper into various economic plans, various radical plans to disrupt systems and things that are harmful to Black people. It will be major initiatives, multi-billion dollar initiatives to deal with mass incarceration. It will go deeper than just, everybody make sure y'all show up and vote, y'all. Y'all got to rock the vote. Come on, y'all. We gonna hip hop our way to the White House, y'all. Like that old Negro shit. Just Negro. That's what it is. I would call it nigger shit, but I'm not going to use the term nigger shit because that would just be offensive. So let's call it Negro shit. Um, it's corny. It's insulting. It's ridiculous. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why it's wrong. And what I'm actually do, I'm so happy that Vicky Diller is actually here, because Vicky, I'm about to put you on blast because I'm going to show clips of your video, and I want people to hear some of the things you said in your live today. You did a Fly Nubian Queen, because it takes a special amount of courage for a Black woman to tell the truth about Oprah. It really does. A lot of Black women are scared to talk, to tell the truth about a woman like Oprah, because so many people love her and they're trained to love her because she's in mainstream media. Black folks, we see assimilation into white culture and acceptance by white people as Black success. That's all we got for some of y'all. Some of us, because we've never been given any other standard, the only standard we know is, well, if white people like us and give us money, then we must be doing good. I must be doing good. Seriously, you might be a Black man. The white man might have put you on TV because you suck penis really well, and but you don't get, you're still seen as a successful Black man. I do good, mama. I made it. I'm successful, right? It's a minstrel show. That's what it becomes. So I think that for many Black people, we idolize other Black people, not for the content of their character or for what they're really doing for the community. We idolize Black people because they've been validated by white people. That's pretty much it. And it has to be kind of the right white people, like so for example, if somebody is a big shot because they're a member of the Republican Party, they'll still get a lot of respect from Black folks, especially if they're rich because of it. But we'll have an issue like oh, you're bad, you're a sellout because you're a Republican, right? And that's fine. It is what it is, right? But I have an issue with Black Republicans too, so that's not even debatable. But if they are promoted by the white liberal establishment, or they have an opportunity within white corporate America, or white folks make movies and put them in the movies, then we're like, oh my God, you're so successful. I want to be just like you, And so Taraji P. Henson, will do shows like Empire, which, are created by mentally ill, truly sick fucks like Lee Daniels. Lee Daniels is a sick fuck. I'm just going to be real with you. He literally is a sick human being. Read his bio, study his life. I studied his bio. I said, oh my God, this man is mentally ill. He does not need to be influencing the mindsets of millions of Black people. I kid you not. I'll give you one example, just one example. There was a time where Lee Daniels admitted that he was going around having as much unprotected sex with as many men as he could because he wanted to get AIDS so that he could die, right? He literally said that. Go look it up. He said that he was having sex with as many men as possible so that he could get AIDS and die. And I felt bad for him. I said, man, wow, this brother was suicidal. That sucks. But then there was another part of me that was like, oh my God, he's dangerous. That's a dangerous mindset. It's like somebody who says, I want to kill myself, so I'm going to drive into oncoming traffic and have a head-on collision with somebody. Well, you're going to kill somebody trying to kill yourself. So suicidal people can also become homicidal people, right? So, so that's just one. Like I'm like, his Jewish boyfriend his children were heavily influenced by his Jewish boyfriend. And he bragged about the fact that his children have read Anne Frank 4 times, but they never read Roots. He was talking about it. He said, yeah, my children read Anne Frank 4 times, but they never read Roots. So that his kids know more about Jewish culture than they know about Black culture and Black history, right? So Lee Daniels gets power for a couple of reasons. One, being part of the gay community is power. The LGBT has more power than Black people. That's why Obama was serving the LGBT community and was named the first gay president by Newsweek. Go look it up. Newsweek labeled Obama as the first gay president. Obama did not object. He said, he was like, I guess, thank you. The other reason Lee Daniels has a lot of opportunities is because when you have a Jewish boyfriend, Hollywood was built by Jewish people. Hollywood is run by mostly Jewish people. It's not an anti-Semitic statement. It's just a fact. There's a great book you should read. And when I talk about Jews, I don't talk about them in a derogatory way most of the time. Ain't no point in that. There's no point in sitting around hate. You don't hate somebody because they winning. I don't hate you. If I got a football team and you beat my team by 40 points, I might be mad at you for a minute because you kicked my ass, but then I'm gonna be like, how did you do it? You're a great coach. That's an extraordinary team you have there, right? So that's kind of how I look at the Jewish community. I'm like, man, y'all built Hollywood. That's amazing. Black folks, we got to take notes. So I tell all my students in the Black Business School, read the book, How the Jews Invented Hollywood. It is a fascinating read that tells you all about how people who were just like you and I, persecuted like you and I, broke as hell like you and I, built one of the great, most powerful institutions in the world. But with power comes responsibility. And there are some people who might say that their responsibility has not been acknowledged as much as it should be, that their power has been used sometimes in an irresponsible or oppressive way. There was a video I just saw, and I'm gonna show you guys this video. While I pull up this video, please hit that like button, share button. If you are on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. I meant to show this video early today, and Vicky, I'm still putting you on blast in a minute, but I want to show this video, and I'm gonna turn the volume up so everybody on Instagram and Facebook, if you're not at drboycetv.com, you won't see the video, but you'll hear it. So if you want to see it, if you're visual and you want to see it and hear it, go to drboycetv.com. Make sure you subscribe. But if you just want to hear it, then that's all good too, because it's all about what they're saying, not who's saying it or what they look like when they're saying it. So hit that thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. I want a thumbs up because I want to make sure we're spreading Black media as far as possible. All right, so I'm going to share this real quick. And this is going to talk about Hollywood and kind of what they've done to Black people. And this links to Oprah, because Oprah is kind of a huge product of Hollywood. She's very powerful in Hollywood for good reason, because she's a very smart woman. But I'm about to talk to you about why Oprah needs to be held accountable in terms of how she manipulated Black people into going out and supporting the Democratic Party. And I'm going to point out beyond what I think is beyond a reasonable doubt, proof that these people care more about white validation and integration more than they care about Black excellence or Black success. But anyway, let me play this video for you real quick. This is real interesting. Check this out.
I was auditioning. Thug number one, thug number two.
For slaves,
prostitute. There's always the hustle.
Literate basketball players.
Mary had a little lamb.
The thug.
The only narrative that they understand of Black life is drug addict, drug dealer, gang member.
I was the hottest Black actor in the world after Boys in the Hood. There were people clamoring to work with this young sensation as long as he did the roles they wanted him to do, which were street kids.
I had been in this thing that is a masterpiece of American cinema, and nobody gave a shit. They really didn't give a fuck.
I auditioned for my first pimp part. My mother's all proud, you know, be the best pimp you can be. The whole church is praying for me.
Let's pray that Brother Robert gets the role of Silky Good Dick. The film is called Holes on the Stroll. It sounds like a musical.
And then that's when the filmmaker was born. I said, man, we can't let Hollywood tell our stories. We got to tell our own stories, dude. They'll make us do anything and everything, and these images travel around the world.
They have a perception of us that ultimately is false.
Okay, so if you're on Instagram, you only heard that, but if you're on YouTube, you see the video. Basically, it's Black actors, esteemed Black actors, respected, well known, successful. You know, Larry Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne, I guess that's what he calls himself, so I'll call him Lawrence. Good actor, good brother. Robert Townsend Jr., Cuba Gooding Jr., and then there was a couple other people I didn't recognize as much. But basically, they were talking about all the Hollywood roles and the stereotypes, and the mammy roles, the pimp roles, the thug roles, the drug dealer roles, and the roles that you're required to play. In Hollywood, if you're Black, and you've seen Oprah, you saw Oprah in her last movie, A Wrinkle in Time or something, where she was kind of playing the mammy role. Oprah's really good at the mammy role, goes all the way back to The Color Purple. She's kind of good at playing this old, worn down Black woman who takes care of white folks, right? And to this day, that's kind of still what she does. I mean, I think she was a big part of movies like The Butler, and I don't know if she was a part of The Help or not. But either way, though, it's kind of like this sort of agreement, if you go along with this, if you are Black and you put on the blackface, then we'll hook you up. We'll take good care of you. We'll give you plenty of money. We'll make you big and famous and rich, and Black people will love you because they look up to anybody who's Black, who's big and famous and rich. That's pretty much kind of the way things go. And so the downside of it is of the Jews of inventing and creating Hollywood is that, you've got racist people in that community like everywhere else. So the Black person comes along, Black people have no power, we have no economic strength, so we can't make our own movies and fund our own movies, or at least we don't think we can. We actually can. We actually have the money to do that. But we think we can't do it. So, you end up becoming a beggar. You show up and you're begging for a role. Master, please give me any role that I can get. So they're like, oh, well, we need a pimp, you know. And like Robert Townsend said, you know, I think he said Silky Good Dick. You know, let's pray that Silky Good Dick gets the next role in this movie. And his mama saying, you be the best pimp you can be, baby, because that's Black success. She's like, oh my God, my baby is playing a pimp, and look at the way he slapped that hoe in that movie. He's so good, he's so talented, you know. And basically that's what we do. We don't measure like, okay, you're famous, but how are you famous? Like, how did you get there? And Robert Townsend is a smart man. You know, most of these actors, it's really fascinating. I was blown away when I found out how many Black actors who play these stereotypical roles were like these Juilliard trained, you know, experts in theater, you know, had been in New York doing Hamlet and shit, you know, like, and next thing they coming out to LA and you're playing like a drug addicted hooker, like, you know, and I'm like, what? And so you see them in real life, and in the movie, the person's like a crackhead doing crackhead dances and yes, massa, and then you see them in real life and they're all like, well, after I finished at Yale, I then went into the theater and I was a Rhodes Scholar as well. And you're like, what the fuck? What is this? What happened? And Lawrence Fishburne, you know, was real. Lawrence Fishburne kept it 100. He said, I did some of the best theater ever. I did a masterpiece and nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. They want to see him as the pimp, as the you know, as the thug or whatever. And so anyway, you know, with Hollywood, what it does is it creates these sort of false heroes for you. You know, it leads you to really look at somebody because they're famous and they have a lot of money, and you meet them and you're like, oh my God, I admire you so much. You're my greatest hero. And you don't know anything about that person really, other than the fact that they were in a movie that you liked and they have a lot of money. And so young people emulate that, you know, that's what they do. So with Oprah, you know, I think Oprah's a little different from a business standpoint. She's a little more savvy than other people because she was able to kind of make herself not just into a queen, but she's a queen and king maker. So as a queen and king maker, she has a lot of power in Hollywood, you know, and I think that's very strategic, very intelligent on her part. But at the same time, the question is, what do you do with that power? And so when I look at Lee Daniels, I think Lee Daniels uses his power in a negative way. And it's not even really his power, it's power that somebody else gave to him because they approved of him. He was the Negro they approved of. Oprah doesn't necessarily always need approval, but assimilation is kind of her thing. You know, these white women love her so much and they admire her and they look up to her and they worship her. So she's been able to kind of play that. And I think that there's a connection. It goes back to slavery, to where you had the little white girls growing up on the plantation who were breastfed by the Black mammy, you know, and they would look up to the Black mammy. The Black mammy could tell them what to do because that's practically your mama. Like they love them. They love the mammy like a mother. And so when you look at A Wrinkle in Time, I saw it and I was sitting there. I was talking to a sociologist at the time, and they said, "Oh, Oprah's got another mammy role. That's going to work out really well for her." And she just said it like it was nothing, you know, like, oh, you know, because there's a history to this. It all connects. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about this kind of thing all the time. So anyway, with that being said, you know, let's jump into, you know, what Oprah said about Stacey Abrams and why I was personally concerned about not what Oprah was doing, but how she was doing it, right? Nobody disagrees with her supporting Stacey Abrams. I want to see Stacey win. I think Stacey's going to be great. But there's an issue with how she was doing things. And so what I want to do is bring up a video of my sister girl, Miss Vicki Dillard. Oh, guys, she is with Fly Nubian Queen, and she is brilliant. And she's also courageous. And she said some things that I want to kind of dig into a little bit about the Oprah Stacey Abrams conversation and sort of how that all went down. So give me 1 second and let me share the screen. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe button, stuff like that while I do that. And also don't forget, if you want to remain connected, feel free to join our League of Intelligent Black People at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. All right, so I'm gonna play tiny little clips, and then we're gonna dig in a little deeper and kind of talk about this from a different perspective. Okay, so here's the first one.
Whenever America is in trouble, they want us the 400-plus-year-old victims to rescue it from its own errors without giving us justice, without giving us reparations, and without even acknowledging wrongdoing that's been done to us. But nevertheless, we still what? We still show up. We still rise to the occasion. But anyway, so I know that Stacey Abrams is going to do a wonderful job as a governor. Duh. She's intelligent. She's beautiful. I know that our brother who's running for governor out of Florida is going to do an unbelievable job. He wiped the floor with his competition. In fact, it's no competition at all. Okay? We're not confused about that. I'm not confused about that at all. So, of course, they bring in Oprah with all of her star power, with all of her reach. Somebody said remote control. Y'all remember that message we talked about before? That's exactly right, family. So they bring in Oprah with all of her star power. And Oprah tells us that our voting is like our crown. Oprah invokes the sacred name of our ancestors, y'all, to get us to vote. Thank you, family, for those of you who are just tuning in.
Okay, so now pay attention. She said a couple of things that I think are very important to remember. Number one, these conversations are not anti-voting conversations. If you come into a discussion like this and you say, why are you telling Black people not to vote? We should all vote. Everybody should vote. Then you're kind of doing what white people are doing to Colin Kaepernick when they say, why are you protesting the anthem? Why are you protesting the flag? Colin Kaepernick has never protested the anthem. Colin Kaepernick has never protested the flag. Colin Kaepernick is pointing to the anthem and the flag as an avenue to protest the murders of Black men by the police and protesting police brutality. So when you focus on, on the anthem and the flag instead of the police brutality, then that right there tells me that you want some bullshit. That means that tells me that you're deflecting from the issue. You're deflecting from the issue because you don't want to address the issue. You deflect because you don't want to talk about it, right? Most of these white folks who say Colin Kaepernick is protesting the flag and how dare you protest the flag and the anthem, those are people who will never ever mention the police brutality issue, right? Because if we're talking about thing A, we can't be talking about thing B. Well, that's exactly what happens when people hear critical dialogue like what Vicky Dillard is presenting, what I try to present as well, a critical dialogue that says, y'all keep asking Black people to vote, but y'all ain't done nothing for Black people. So we're going to take a knee. When the election comes, we're going to do like Kaepernick. We're going to take a knee. When everybody's voting, I'm going to be taking a knee, right? To make a point. And people are like, why are you anti-voting? You shouldn't be telling Black people not to vote. What's wrong with you? It's like, this is not anti-voting. If you want to vote, I'm not going to stop you from voting. I'm not going to tell you not to vote. This is not about the vote itself. This is about the fact that you keep asking for the vote, but you have neglected and ignored Black people for I don't know how many years. You ain't said a word. You can talk all day about voter rights, Democratic Party, Oprah Winfrey, Negroes who work for the Democratic Party. You're going to talk all day about voting, but you ain't got nothing to say about reparations. At what point in Stacey Abrams' speech did Oprah even say anything about reparations? At what point did Oprah stop and say, you know what, y'all? I know for a fact that the Democratic Party has not come through for you. And I have sat down and I have spoken with the leadership and I have told them that I can get Black folks to come out and vote maybe this one more time, but I'm not going to be able to get them to come back next time unless you address the injustices that have occurred toward Black people for the last 400 years. If you cannot do that, then I cannot do this for you. I cannot come back and support something that I don't believe in because I know that it's bad for my people. At what point did Oprah have that conversation with the white people who have her on that stage? At what point does she have that conversation? When does Barack Obama go back to the back room with the white folks who are paying his bills and say, you know, these people love me, they believe in me, they're gonna come and do what I ask them to do. A lot of them, God rest their soul, some of them ain't that smart, some of them ain't got that much guidance in terms of critical thinking skill, some of them are just gonna do something over and over again because that's what their grandma did, and they trust me, they love me, they're gonna do what I tell them, and I'm gonna use that power to help you, but I need you to do right by these people because that is necessary for them to get something in exchange for what they're giving you. We know how much power a vote has. We know what a vote is. We know that votes matter. The rapper Common had this meme up talking about, you know, well, if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't work so hard to steal it. No, Doug, God damn it. We know that votes matter. We know that votes have power. We know that votes help people get rich. We know that Donald Trump and his family have made probably $250 million since he got into the White House. His children are making $60, $70, $80 million a year because their daddy's the president. So votes have power. No question whether votes have power. But that's not the fundamental issue. The issue is not whether or not a vote matters. The issue is whether voting benefits Black people. That is the issue. That is the issue. So give me 1 second, hit the thumbs up button, the subscribe button. Can you hold this for me? And I give me like a few more minutes and I'll come. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, leave it here.
No, I don't want to look at food while I'm working because I'm going to be tempted to eat. But thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. Okay. She made me a salad. It is really good. And I don't want to be looking at food while I'm talking because I want to focus here. Okay. So if you want to talk about what the problem is with Oprah's speech, it's that, you know, you always talking all day about what we need to do for these white folks. And I'm sorry, voting for Stacey Abrams is a vote for white folks because we know who's running the Democratic Party. They put up Black candidates, but it's white folks. If you look at most of the people who are going to benefit financially from that political power, whose agenda is going to get pushed through, it's going to be the LGBT, it's going to be the feminists, it's going to be, you know, the immigration people, all of that, right? Black people might be like number 45 on the list. Let's just be real. I mean, keep it 100. Did you really ever feel that Barack Obama walked out with an S on his chest talking about, I'm Black, y'all, and this is the White House going to get painted Black today, and the Black agenda is the primary agenda? No, that did not happen. That did not happen when Obama got elected. It ain't gonna happen when Stacey Abrams gets elected. It ain't gonna happen when Andrew Gillum gets elected. No disrespect to any of them. They're better than the white guys. That there's no question about it. But you know, they're not gonna, even for practical reasons, they can't do that. They can't go and do that. They're not gonna have their support anymore. All these white people who are asking you to show up and help them rock the vote, these white people, when it comes time for them, for the governor to decide what their priorities are going to be, these white people are going to say, yeah, Black people matter, but we matter more. Take care of us first. Deal with our issue. You can deal with them as long as you deal with us first. It reminds me of when I was at University of Kentucky as an undergrad, and we used to fight to get them to include like Black history as part of the curriculum. And they would say, yeah, we agree. Black history should be part of the curriculum. Everyone should learn more Black history. And they would say, but we can't do it. And we say, why? Well, they say, well, because the curriculum is already filled with well, of course we got to cover European history. And of course we got to cover American history. And of course we got to all memorize the lives of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and all this other stuff. So there's no more room. Sorry, we're not anti-Black. We just don't have any more space. So, and what Black people have to learn how to do is fight for your space. You got to be mean to people sometimes to make it clear to them, you ain't getting nothing out of me unless I get something out of you. If you can't ever do that, then you will never, ever have any power in this country. All right, so anyway, so here's the thing about Oprah's statement when it came to, you know, the ancestor thing. Vicky Diller brought that up, which I thought was a great point to bring up. I thought about this and I mentioned this, and when I saw Vicky talked about it, I said, let me support her on this because I know a lot of people that aren't critical thinkers are going to give her pushback. You got to understand, you know, when Oprah when she invokes ancestors into the conversation, that's not fair anymore. That's really a dirty, low down, dirty thing to do. That's an attack. That is an attack on the people that are there. That is, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a time where I heard a man speak, and he wanted everybody in the room to make a donation to his organization, right? And he wanted a lot of money. He didn't want like $10, $5. He wanted like $3,000, $2,000, money that a lot of the people in the room could not afford. And so what he did was, first he asked everybody, everybody please give, join and give us $2,000. And, this is why it's going to be great for you, right? And some people did it, some people didn't, right? But then he said, well, there are some people in the room who are serious and some people who are not. And the serious people are the ones who are going to give me $2,000. And if you don't give me $2,000, then you're not serious. You're not one of us, right? Which was a low blow, right? And then after that, what he did was he went back to it. He said, how many of you joined the $2,000 club and gave us $2,000? And you should have a little pin on. You should be wearing, those who gave the $2,000 should be wearing a little pin. And if you gave the $2,000, I want you to stand up and show everybody that you're a member, that you gave the $2,000. So what happened was the people who gave the money stood up, and the ones who didn't give the money were sitting in their chairs like this, like embarrassed, because they were no longer part of the group. They were being told that if you don't give us money, then we won't like you anymore. We're not your friend anymore. We're going to make fun of you because you're not down for the cause, right? And I thought that was kind of low. I didn't like that. And that's how I feel when I hear a Black politician, an Oprah or Barack, first approach Black people by saying, okay, everybody should vote. Okay, cool. Thank you for making the suggestion. We're going to think about it. We're going to make a decision. I'm going to talk to my wife or my husband or whatever, and we're going to decide what we want to do as a family based on what our needs are, etc. Then they're like, no. Y'all really need to vote. If you don't vote, you don't count. And everybody's like, that's right. All right. If you don't vote, them niggas don't count. They some dumb. And fuck the people who don't vote, right? And so then you're isolating and alienating the people who choosing not to participate. Either they're independent or they are choosing to take a knee. They're doing a Kaepernick thing. They're taking a knee. Then you're going deeper, and you're like, your ancestors were murdered for you to have the right to vote. So how dare you not vote knowing your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote? And everybody's like, that's right, our ancestors died. These people who don't vote, what's wrong with them? They some coons, right? And then so then they're trying to guilt trip you. Then they're personally attacking you and saying, if you don't vote, you are disrespecting the memory of your ancestors. And Oprah said this. So what you're doing is you're deliberately alienating and isolating and attacking the people who are choosing to take a knee. You're no different from Donald Trump at that point, who said if they take a knee, then the sons of bitches need to get fired. And all the hillbillies and dumbass rednecks are like, yeah, kill the niggers, kill the sons of bitches, those sons of bitches, taking a knee, disrespecting the flag. What the hell's wrong with them? Not once in Donald Trump's conversation does he ever say why these individuals might feel compelled to take a knee. Maybe watching your brother get his brains blown out on the street for no good reason might be a reason to want to take a knee out of protest in hopes that it doesn't happen to somebody else. But do they talk about that? No, they don't. So the same thing happens when these elevated Negroes come to the Black community to try to get Black people to vote. They will alienate, isolate, and attack the people who are free thinkers in the community, who are taking a knee, who are saying, no, I'm going to protest because this ain't right. I want to protest on behalf of the people that I care about. I want to protest on behalf of my ancestors, on behalf of my community. They don't talk about any of that. All they do is they say, well, if you don't vote, you don't count. You're disrespecting your ancestors, blah, 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 blah. Your ancestors got murdered for you to have the right to vote. So how is it that you can say all of that? You can make all these arguments, all these references to my ancestors when it comes to telling me what I need to do at the polls on Tuesday, but you can't bring up my ancestors and talk about reparations for the fact that they were murdered in the first place. You can talk about the fact that they were murdered allegedly for me to have the right to vote for the Democratic Party, whatever white person's paying your bills, but you cannot mention the fact that they never received reparations for the murder in the first place. The same white people you asking me to stand up and vote for, The same white institutions you're asking me to support, that you're trying to guilt trip me into supporting, are the very same institutions who are pissing on our ancestors' graves by refusing to even acknowledge what was done to them or the reparations that our community deserves as a result of the murders that did happen at that time. If the murder happened and you're telling me I need to vote in response to the murder, well then goddamn reparations need to be paid in response to that murder too. Smart people can understand what I'm saying. A lot of people won't. Brainwashed people will not. They will not get it. You're going to get mad. You're going to say, oh my God, he's telling black people not to vote, even though I have said 14,888 times that I have never told anybody not to vote. I will never tell another black person that you should not vote. That I do not do that. I do not do what other people will do, what Oprah does and other people will do. I do not tell black people what to do when it comes to their vote. I do not. Only thing I tell you to do is think for yourself. Do what's best for your family. That's what I say. So that means if some of y'all are in here and you're going to vote for the Democrats, I will never clown you for voting for the Democrats. I just say, don't mess with me. I won't mess with you. Don't try to shame me from my decision. I won't shame you for yours. See, that's what they call freedom of expression. That's something the Democratic Party doesn't believe in. They believe in attacking people if they don't agree with them. They believe in, I'm gonna unfriend you because you're up here talking about not voting. How dare you talk about not voting? You're disrespecting our ancestors when you don't vote. Well, no, you're disrespecting our ancestors when you ain't taking a goddamn stand. When you can't take a stand for something that you believe in, when you can't take a stand for your community, when you can't stand up to these people and demand something in exchange for your vote, you are literally lining up every ancestor we ever had and just urinating on all their graves, because everything that you're doing ends up amounting to nothing. You don't believe me? Go look at the studies that show that despite the fact that black people keep the Democrats in power on many occasions, we do not benefit when they are in power. Malcolm X talked about that 50 years ago. He could have wrote the article yesterday. He could have literally, if you read what Malcolm said about the Democratic Party in 1963 or something, it literally could have been written in 2018. Their playbook has not changed because you have not changed. You keep on falling for the okie doke, they're going to keep delivering the okie doke when they come see you. Let me pull up another clip on Vicky's video. There's another piece I wanted to hit on. She did a brilliant job. Her name is Vicky Dillard. She's with FlyNubianQueenTV.com, and she's just bad. She's the kind of leadership that we need in the black community. We need more people who are just not afraid to speak the truth. And the reason I love Vicky has a lot of friends in the Nation of Islam, and the reason I love the Nation of Islam is because they have courage. That's something black people are not accustomed to. We're not accustomed to having courage. We're accustomed to kind of going along, trying to get in and fit in and all this other stuff. That's why, despite the fact that, just to give you an example, I know 100 brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam who would gladly protect Oprah Winfrey in the event that something bad were to happen to her. But I don't think Oprah would return the favor. I don't think Oprah would stand up for Farrakhan or the Nation of Islam the way they would stand up for her. And that right there speaks to the differential in terms of what it means to have courageous, ethical people dealing with people who are not courageous, who are not ethical. So anyway, let me play this again. Let me play this little part right here because I want you guys to hear this.
Of oppression. So stop it. Do your own parades and stuff. The immigrant communities. We know that we understand people that suffer from other parts of the world, but I'm sorry. We did not fill out any forms for no visas to get here. We were brought here in the holds of ships. And on our backs, not just from before America was officially formed 200 and some years ago, we've been on this side of the waters before America was America. Do you hear me? And not only through slavery, we not only built America, we not only built the Capitol, we not only built the White House, come on somebody. We not only did the layout for Washington, D.C., we not only did major inventions, many of the inventions that you enjoy today. We not only made the food, made the clothes, kept the plantations, kept the house, but we sustained that thing after slavery. When we were even black coded. Somebody talk black to me.
Now let me go up a little bit further. So you know, I like that part of the video because she's pointing out the fact that that nobody's plight has been like our plight. Nobody has contributed to America the way we've contributed to America when you compare it to the fact that America has not paid its debt to Black people. Nobody can compare to us. Somebody like an Oprah Winfrey, you know, for her, I think what's radical for an Oprah is to do what she did with this museum. She built this, she got together with a bunch of people, the Rainbow Coalition, you know, white folks and corporations and stuff. And they built this beautiful museum in Washington, D.C. that's educating Black people on all the things that have happened to us over, you know, over the last 400 years, right? And educating white people too. It's sort of from the integrationist textbook that if we make white people more sensitive to what they've done to Black people, then maybe they'll be nicer to us and pick a couple more chosen Negroes to have big opportunities, and America will be a wonderful place. Also, it's built on sort of this very peaceful, nonviolence, forgive and forget kind of mindset. And what's really interesting is that on one hand, you can argue that she's paying tribute to the ancestors with this museum, right? By showing the suffering that they endured. But some would argue that it's disrespectful to the ancestors to show all of this and to not make a righteous demand that something be done, that the compensation be had for what has occurred, right? So the question is, you know, are you paying tribute to the if a man down the street, you know, rapes my daughter, God forbid, and I go to him and I say, you know, this rape was, you know, nobody's talked about the fact that my daughter was raped. Here's pictures of what she looked like after it happened. Here's her story. She wrote a book about it. I want everybody to read this book. I want everybody to know that my daughter was raped. But then at the same time, I don't hold the man accountable for what he did. You know, it's almost like in exchange for me forgiving you, all you have to do is just know what you did and how it hurt my feelings and how it hurt my family and made us sad, right? And then at that point, we can be friends and act like you're not a rapist, right? So I think that for Black people in our abusive relationship with the Democratic Party, what has occurred is we have this weird exchange where we're like, we just need you to acknowledge our pain on some fundamental basic level, but we don't really need you to actually do anything about it. You know, like mass incarceration, we need you, Bill Clinton, to even acknowledge that you incarcerated so many Black men that you became our version of Adolf Hitler. You literally exterminated millions of Black families with your behavior with the stroke of a pen. We need you to acknowledge that. And then after that, everything's going to be good. Everything's cool. You know, we'll vote for you as if you never did it before. Right. And Bill Clinton took that cue. Bill Clinton came out when he's trying to get his wife elected. He comes back and he says, you know, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. And he leans on Black people's infinite capacity to forgive because we don't value ourselves. We don't value our suffering. There are studies that show that white people and doctors actually believe Black people feel less pain than other people. Well, what they don't say in those studies is that I believe that there are Black people who feel that Black people feel less pain than other people. So we can become very sensitive to what a white person goes through, but we have a hard time being sensitive to what other Black people go through. So you know, at the end of the day, I think that the Bill Clinton scenario would be handled better by saying to Bill, you know, thank you for acknowledging, you know, what you did. And we might forgive you, possibly, but we're going to deal with you the same way you deal with us. You know, when a Black man goes out and sells crack and kills somebody and apologizes in the courtroom, you might forgive him. Maybe you'll accept his apology and maybe even offer him white Jesus or something while he's in prison. But then after that, you're going to give him a punishment for what he did. After that, you're going to you make him pay restitution for what he did. After that, he's going to be a felon for the rest of his life. He might be a felon who has already paid his debt to society, but he's still going to be a felon. He's still going to get treated differently from the people who never committed that crime in the first place. So with a Bill Clinton, for example, in the Democratic Party, I would say the same thing would apply, right? You know, just eye for an eye, right? Justice. This is what justice looks like. So you say to the Democratic Party, we might forgive you for what you did, but the pain kind of runs deep. So the first thing we need you to understand is that all the men that you incarcerated, they're not gone. They're not dead. and their families aren't dead either. Many of them are still here. Many of them are still locked up. So what we need you to do is we need you to show that you're really sorry by going out, Mr. Clinton, and using all of your wealth, your reach, your connections, and your political capital to get on the phone state by state with all these governors and talk to them about how to get these individuals out of prison, how to reopen their cases, get 50,000 lawyers across the nation, 1,000 lawyers per state maybe, that are going to go and reopen these cases, take them to judges, and get the sentence reduced so that the sentences are fair. And then also, we're going to need you to push forward a bill for $50 billion, $100 billion in reparations to the families that endured the mass incarceration Holocaust initiated by Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, and Richard Nixon, who were all very similar in terms of their policies. So we're going to need some money for these families, because the families, they're going to need therapy. They've been damaged irreparably. They got to be fixed. But then even after you pay all the money and you make all the apologies and you use all the political capital to reverse some of the damage, we're still not going to act like it never happened. We're still going to not really trust you as much as we would have if you'd never done it. You're still going to be a felon in the minds of Black people. So don't think that this means that we're still going to have you at the church eating barbecue chicken, or that we're going to trust every word that comes out of your mouth, because you don't trust somebody who has committed a crime against your family. You don't trust somebody who raped your daughter. You don't trust somebody who got your daddy killed. So I think that for Black people, we got to learn kind of what that means, what justice looks like. And we've got to gain the self-worth to believe that we are worthy of receiving justice just like everybody else. The reason you don't pursue it is because you don't feel like you're worth it. And so therefore you get mad at people like myself or like a Vicky Dillard or whoever who says you're better than that. You deserve better than that. You deserve to be treated differently from that. Now do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. Hit the share button, subscribe button, all that stuff. Also, if you'd like to join our League of Intelligent Black People, you can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. Now, I want to share one more clip of Miss Vicky, and I hope I'm not embarrassing you too much, Vicky, with this, but I thought you just did such a great job, and I want people to kind of hear what you had to say on this. So I think this is about the point where here we go. All right.
We go live. I'm on YouTube sometimes doing my show during the week, as well as Facebook. You want to connect with us, family. It's time for us to listen to Black voices, hear from those of us who brought the world into existence, somebody. It's time for us to start taking authority on what's going on in the world today. But Oprah cannot pimp us and then invoke the name of our sacred ancestors. The sacred ancestors deal with the spirit realm. The sacred ancestors is what I consider to be the biblical great cloud of witnesses. The sacred ancestors has to do with God himself and the universe and the cosmos. It's what we're made up of. She invoked them for a white vote, but she cannot speak to any of the other issues. Something is wrong with that picture, family.
Okay, so let me stop that there. Now pay attention to what she said. She talked about the sacred act of invoking your ancestors, just what that means from a spiritual standpoint, how deep that is, not, emotionally, spiritually, otherwise, that's you're literally, when you bring it up, you're literally going there. You're going to a different place. Like, for example, my grandmother, I love my grandmother. I always talk about my grandmother. I don't invoke my grandmother. When I say something, if I really mean something, if I believe in something, I'll say, you know what, I'll put that on my grandmother, right? And that is like me saying, like, if I lied to you about this, I need to just die right now, struck by lightning. Like, all karma for me is always going to be negative. So I won't invoke my grandmother unless it's a serious issue and I'm trying to show you that I'm a serious person. So for Oprah to invoke the ancestors to get votes for white people is the ultimate form of ridiculous mammy-like servitude to an oppressive system, right? Maybe you can invoke the ancestors for reparations. Like that's a time where I would think you would invoke the ancestors. Maybe you, Oprah, would invoke the ancestors to help deal with the fact that all these little children were getting murdered in Chicago the whole time you were here and you never said anything about it, right? I think that's a problem, right? You in Chicago, for example, among other cities, you have that Black elite class. and these are the Negroes that don't mess with me. These are the ones that can say, oh, I have dinner with Michelle and Barack, and we were all at the University of Chicago together and all that stuff. And so they're kind of this controlling class, and they just don't mess with certain Black people in certain neighborhoods. They don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want to hear nothing about it. They don't care anything about it. The Valerie Jarretts of Chicago don't pay attention to what's happening to murdered Black people on the south side or the west side of Chicago. They don't care. They won't even bring it up. They don't feel like it's worth it. They don't feel like Black Lives Matter when you're talking about Black lives that live in certain neighborhoods. They don't believe that Black Lives Matter. So I think that, with Oprah, I think people could have forgiven her if she had just said, you know what, I want to see Stacey Abrams win. I'm here to support her. I think that she's a great candidate, and I just want to have her back, sister to sister. You ain't even got to mention that you're Black. You don't have to do any of that. You could just, we know you Black, right? So you don't have to even say that, but just say, I think that she's going to be great, and I want her to be governor. And I think it would have been fine. Everybody would have said, oh, that's nice. That's good. Let's hope that she wins. But when you come in and you're attacking people who are exercising their freedom of expression and trying to bully them and oppress them into doing what you think they need to do, and you're invoking the ancestors in the ultimate, cosmic universal guilt trip to make them do something that they in their heart don't feel is right, well, that kind of makes you a pimp. That makes you a pimp. That's what pimps do. Pimps play with your head. They make you feel bad. They distract from the core issue. So when you look at the political pimps, they play with their head. You listen to the commercials that you hear on the radio and on urban radio stations when it's time to vote. It'll be like, hey girl, are you gonna go vote on Sunday? Nah, girl, I got to go to the movies. Well, girl, our ancestors died for us to have the right to vote. What? Sure enough, they so we got to show up to the polls. Okay, we're gonna get to the polls, but after we go to the club, girl, we're gonna go straight to vote. Let's vote. Let's rock the vote, y'all. Like, it'll always be this sort of very disrespectful, very condescending language that's sort of seeking out the lowest common denominator of Blackness and reminding you that no matter how smart you are, how educated you are, no matter how much you're trying to evolve, you still need to know how to be a nigga. Right? Like, no matter how much you're trying to break cycles in your family, trying to outgrow, trying to become something better and move forward, education, enlightenment, going to the theater, traveling the world, they're like, no, that's all good, but you're acting a little too bougie right now. You still need to know how to be a nigga. If you can't be a nigga, then we're going to make fun of you. You're not one of us, right? So that's kind of what the pimps do. Again, play with the head, guilt trip people, distract from the core issues. The example I used earlier, we were talking about an abusive relationship. If you imagine a man who is really abusive to a woman, yells at her for no reason, beats her up because she didn't bake the cookies right, cheats on her like crazy, tells her she ain't nothing but a dog, lets her know if I don't want you, ain't nobody gonna want you, calls her out of her name. And then one day she decides she's done with it. I'm not dealing with this no more. I'm taking a knee in this relationship. I'm not protesting love. I'm not protesting family. I'm protesting abuse. So I'm taking a knee. I'm gonna do a Kaepernick in this marriage, and I'm gonna be at my mama's house. So she leaves and she goes to her mother's house, but the man is manipulative. He's an abuser. That's what abusers do. So first he might threaten her. Like if you don't come home, then I'm gonna change the lock on the door, and if I don't want you, nobody will. He's gonna throw all the darts he can to try to play with her head mentally. That's what pimps do. That's what Democrats do to Black people. We're gonna attack you. We're gonna isolate you. We're gonna make you feel bad. We're gonna just really talk dirty about you unless you do what we want. And if that doesn't work, then he might try another form of manipulation. He might come over, and say he's sorry, and have some flowers or something, and have the kids, the little 4-year-old is there, and the 4-year-old's like, I miss you, mommy, will you come home? And then he's like, baby, why would you protest our family? Why do you not believe in family? And just like the Democrats, like, why don't you believe in voting, Dr. Watkins? And it's like, you're missing the whole point, right? She ain't protesting family. She ain't got an issue with family. She's taking a knee on the family thing because you're abusing her. because you're refusing to acknowledge what you're doing. So if he comes over and he's guilt tripping her and saying, well, you should come home for the children, right? That's what they're doing with you. When they're like, well, you should, I know you don't want to vote. I know that we fucked you over. We know that black people don't get nothing, but you need to vote for the ancestors. Think about your dead ancestors. Like, that's a low blow. That's a low blow. That's like trying to get that abusive woman to come home by showing her the crying 4-year-old and a little picture of the 7-year-old. Oh, little Billy went to school today and he asked me, where's my mommy? My mommy's not here. And you up here feeling all bad, like, dang, well, I love little Billy. I don't want to hurt my son's feelings. And then he said, yeah, well, right now you're being anti-family. You're harming your children. You don't care about your children, do you? Right? And by saying that, not only is he being emotionally manipulative, but he's distracting from the issue. He's not acknowledging the fact that when she walked out of that house, she was not protesting the children. When she walked out of the house, she was not protesting love. When she walked out of the house, she was not protesting marriage. She was not protesting family. She was protesting your abusive ass and all the bullshit you've been doing to her for the last 10 years. That's what she's protesting. And if all you talk about is family and love and children, and you're negating your responsibility, you're not fulfilling your responsibility by being in the household, then what you're doing is you're doing what a pimp does. You're deflecting from the issue. You're not addressing the core issue. You're not being genuine when you don't address the issue and make things right. So when the Oprahs of the world, or anybody else, any of the other, Negro delegates for the Democratic Party, shows up in the front of the black community and says, if you don't vote, you don't count. It's your responsibility to vote. Your ancestors died and were murdered for you to vote. And they mention all these things, and you're just a bad person if you don't vote. You're hurting your community, right? What they're doing is no different from what Donald Trump does when he talks about Colin Kaepernick. He never mentions why Colin Kaepernick is protesting. All he talks about is the fact that he's protesting in the first place. So the Democrats and these Negro delegates, they never mention why somebody black might have legitimate reason to take a knee and abstain from the election. Instead, they mention all the bad things about not participating in the process. And if you don't vote, you don't count. You're disrespecting your ancestors and all this other, all these low blows that are no different from the way a pimp treats a hoe. They use these on black people. All these low blows that are no different from the way an abusive husband deals with his wife is what the Democratic Party uses on black people. So the only way the Democratic Party can earn the hearts of intelligent black people, in my opinion, is if they do what this husband needs to do with his wife. When his wife comes to her senses and she's taking the knee, he must address his behavior and he must make things right to even have a chance to get her back. And then at the end, even after he acknowledges his behavior, even after he goes out of his way to make things right and then some, he must still acknowledge that ultimately the greatest show of respect he can have for his wife is to say, you know what, I've done everything I can. Now the ball's in your court. It is your choice to decide if you want to choose me. I'd be honored if you did. That's respect. That's what respect looks like. So the Democratic Party, to take the analogy full circle, the Democratic Party, in order for them to earn the trust of intelligent black people, you must acknowledge what you've done, and you must acknowledge what has happened to our people. You must talk extensively in large detail about all the things you're going to do to make things right. In this relationship, you got to do what Beyonce said. You got to say our name. Stop running around here trying to have the fucking Rainbow Coalition and mixing us in with everybody else. Black people, we are not part of the LGBT community. Most of us are not. We are not like the immigrants. We're not like the feminists. We have our own unique issues that deserve unique attention. So you need to say our name. Stop thinking you can get 100% of black support when you only want to say our name 2% of the time. You want 100% from us, but you're giving us 2% acknowledgement. No, say my name. Tell me I stand by the black man. I stand by the black woman. I understand what the black community's gone through for the last 400 years. I fight for black reparations because black people have gone through a unique experience that says that we need to put aside at least $1 trillion over the next 5 years to correct all the horrible things we've done to these people. And then at the end of the day, even after you acknowledge what you did, even after you do everything you can to make things right, you then show the ultimate sign of respect by saying, even though I've done the right thing and I'm going to do the right thing to push forward, to be honest with black people and to be supportive of making things right, is still their decision if they want to have us back. If you say that, then everything can be good. But when you come in there with these abusive pimp tactics, like, oh, well, your ancestors were murdered for you to have the right to vote. Don't talk about my ancestors. You ain't got no right to do that. You're part of the party that murdered my ancestors. You're part of the establishments and institutions that committed the crime in the first place. And they did not get murdered over voting. They got murdered for a lot of other reasons that you're refusing to acknowledge. So just stop it. Just stop it. And Oprah, shame on you for even participating in that nonsense. I do not hate Oprah. I do not dislike Oprah in every way. I've given Oprah tremendous or extensive compliments. I even got approached years ago about having a show on the Oprah Winfrey Network, a financial show. Of course, we both knew that wasn't going to work out because I'm not a fit for a network like that. So thank God they came to their senses and I came to mine. But, I have no issue with Oprah. I don't dislike her, but you can't do this. You can't allow yourself to get played in a way that's going to make you look stupid and crazy, because you've got smart black people out here who have platforms who are going to be able to break down and analyze your BS. So you might have got over on the ignorant people, but eventually the ignorant people some of them are going to listen and say, yeah, actually, maybe he has a point. So that's all I got to say. I'm about to go. She made this salad. It looks really good. And I need to eat salad. I'm running a race this weekend. I'm running 9 miles, and I gotta get mentally ready for that. And I'm actually go live like during the race, because I'm gonna need y'all to keep me company so I don't break down. And actually running, Oprah inspired me when it came to running. When Oprah ran that marathon, I remember thinking, oh, if she can do it, I can probably do it too. So I actually do want to run a marathon the next year. So this is not anti-Oprah. I do not hate Oprah. I want to make sure you guys know that. Some of y'all might know Oprah, but Oprah, you can't be acting like no pimp. You owe the black community an apology. You should come back and say, I'm sorry, but I just support Stacey and I got overzealous and blah, blah, blah. Of course, she ain't gonna do it. Why would she, right? Since when does she have to actually listen to black people? But I do think that would be the right thing to do. Apologize. We need supporters. We don't need pimps. Seriously, black people need advocates. We don't need more abusive spouses that are gonna emotionally manipulate us into doing something that is against our interests, that ends up making us look as dumb as some toothless hillbilly in the backwoods Tennessee who's voting for Donald Trump, despite the fact that he's on Obamacare, right? We'll make fun of him. We'll make fun of the fact that he supports Trump, even though Trump wants to kill Obamacare and he needs Obamacare. We'll say, oh, that dummy, well, when he voted against his interests, that's so stupid. Well, he can say the same thing about you. He can say, well, wait a minute, you keep supporting the Democratic Party and they ain't done nothing for you. And the black community keeps getting worse, despite the fact that you're getting all your candidates elected and they riding you like a donkey all the way to the finish line. So you about as dumb as me. That's what the toothless. If I'm the toothless hillbilly in backwoods Tennessee who's supporting Trump, when you throw the rock, I'm gonna throw the rock right back and shatter your glass house. You call me the pot, and I'm gonna call you the kettle. Straight up. All of us end up looking like ridiculous hypocrites when we blindly and unintelligently follow into a voting pattern or a pattern of behavior that is not consistent with our interests. All of us end up looking a little bit crazy. So I just want to help you not look so crazy and not look so hypocritical, and to be consistent with your values as a black person and as a human being. That's the objective. So do this. Number one, if you're on social media, please hit the like button, share button, thumbs up button. YouTubers, please take a second, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe at drboycetv.com. That's where I go live. It's drboycetv.com. If you want me to text you when I go live, you can actually text the word Boyce, my name, Boyce, to 31996. You text Boyce to 31996. I will text you, but just know I'm a little bit of a crazy texter in the sense that I might text you like at 2 o'clock in the morning to tell you that I woke up out of bed and realized that there's a powernomics principle that we need to talk about immediately in order for us to understand how to move forward. So I am crazy like that. So if you want to hang out with a crazy guy and some other crazy Black people, then text the word Boyce to 31996. Last but not least, if you want to be a member of our League of Intelligent Black People, feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. We ask you for minor support for the channel, as little as $5, no big deal. And in exchange, we give you a ton of free stuff. We want to make sure that you're happy with the trade. We don't do charity. We don't want donations, but we do like to have trade and exchange that's mutually beneficial so that we can build this Black media and hit the world hard and reach, millions and millions of people with a message that's going to be empowering. All I want to do is empower you. I ain't trying to, ask you to do nothing in particular when it comes to your votes or whatever it is you do with your life. I just want you to be happy, and I want you to win, and I want you to feel satisfied. So if I can help you do that, that's my job, and I'll be pleased by that. So I'm out of here, guys. I'm about to go hang out with you know who. So we're gonna have a great Friday night, and I'll see you guys this weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.